Welcome back to the Real Power Podcast. We got an awesome guest today, Mr. Nick Mancuso.
Mancuso.
Nick is the owner of Elevate, a premier strength and conditioning facility located here in Rochester, New York. His team provides a variety of training programs from personal training to nutrition to sports recovery. And he just had the grand opening for his new facility right on North Goodman Street.
Yep.
Congrats on that,
Thank
man.
you very much. Appreciate that.
I was just telling you before we started recording, guys, this facility is so fucking sick. I mean, state-of-the-art equipment. It's just so sleek and modern looking, man. You did such a great job with that.
My wife had a big influence in that. So
Wife
people were
always
like,
does.
Who designed this? And I'm like,
Wife
my wife
always does. But yeah, I'm just excited to have him here. He's been raved about by multiple people and just a stand-up guy and a great entrepreneur, and I'm excited to just get into his story and learn about his journey. So, Nick, thank you so much for being here, man.
Well, likewise, thank you for having me. And man, your name is getting big around here, so this is good. You're growing, man.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited to be here. So,
How did your journey into entrepreneurship begin? What's your background?
So I like to start this with I've never once taken a single business course in my entire life. So people often laugh at that. But the way I got started in fitness it's interesting. When I was 15, my dad started taking me to World Gym, the dumpy one on East Ave there. And
R.I.P. It's not even
R.I.P. Man. And I'll never forget when I first walked in, just the smell. It was like a foot. And I was like, I'm home. I'm home. But he introduced me to a guy named Tony Natali, who I'm still really close friends with to this day. And at the time, Tony was number 2 in the world for amateur bodybuilding. So he's like, I want to introduce you to this guy. And he was 320 pounds off season, and like stepping on stage at 280.
Wow.
And I remember he was on a recumbent bike. And my dad took me to the side, and as I was walking up, he just looked like the fucking Hulk, He's got these veins in his forehead. And he told me, he's like, man, no matter what you look like in life, you could look any way you want. And that kind of always stuck with me, like, wow, maybe you can change your body. So I got into fitness, and my dad and I worked out a bunch. And then when I got to college, I really started getting into just strength and conditioning for baseball. And my goal was to do a walk-on in college.
Oh, okay.
So I start getting into that, and my now best friend, who I had no idea at the time who he was, I was in chemistry class, and I was failing, which is funny because my dad is a chemistry teacher for 21 years. And he was super out of shape, and I walked up to him when I was at Buff State. I walked up to him and just in the cafeteria and said, hey, I know you're pretty good at chemistry. You need to lose weight, so I'll teach you how to get fit, and you teach me chemistry.
And that was your first client?
That was literally my first client.
Yeah.
So who's now my best friend to this day. His name's Jesse Goldberger, and so he lost 75 pounds in just under about 3.5 months.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I passed chemistry, and so that was good too. And we went every single night. We'd go to the gym 8 to 10, and then we'd go right to the library, and he taught me chemistry. So I ended up transferring out, and I was at Buffalo for nutrition. So I got 2 really solid years for dietetics. And I transferred into Fredonia for their second semester of exercise science. So it's kind of like the new grouping of this field that was growing. And then that has just taken me on a journey that is crazy. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. I can tell just the amount of knowledge that you've accumulated over the years, and clearly you're doing something right with growing such a great business here in Rochester. Let's talk about the new facility real quick. Because I just want people to know, like, how sick it is when I say, like, and I'm sure the video doesn't even do it justice. So, like, how big of a facility is it? What is, you want to give a breakdown of, like, what's in there and everything?
Yeah. So the facility itself is, and I was just kind of telling you, I haven't even had a chance to, like, soak in it, how amazing it is. But it's 12,000 square feet. And if you look at the breakdown from our old facility to this, the locker rooms in the new facility are as big as our old facility.
Oh,
so yeah, we were about 6 times the size. It is a walk-in. When you come in, you have a full Lululemon store. So we have wholesaling, which is awesome. So we could brand and embroider any Lulu clothing.
Nice.
We have a nice lounge section with tables and all types of drinks for performance and recovery. We do smoothies as well. And then we have kind of 2 main sides. So we have the Select Rise equipment side with pin loaded, and that's kind of the outside. equipment, and everything in the middle is a full cardio floor. So there's 30 pieces of cardio that face a giant wall with cable machines and free weights. So we like to say it's our little bit of a quiet side. You got your cardio and more of the, a lot of people can run through a selectorized circuit. And then on the other side is where we clang and bang.
That's where I'll be.
Yeah. So we're getting after it over there.
Yeah.
And that's all your heavy equipment that you could think of. And the two sides have their own feel. And in between that, we have, we were just talking, I have 32 employees now. So we have a full membership office, chiropractic team, massage therapy. We're bringing on physical therapists. We have all our offices, a private yoga studio, 30 yards of turf. I mean, it's crazy. It's everything you could think of. So
it's like a gym fantasy land.
It is. It
really is.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people walk in and just, whoa, this is way better than we expected.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So when was your official opening there?
So we opened on June 1st, which was a Saturday. And then on the 3rd, which was the Monday, we did the actual ribbon cut. There were 6 elected officials there, which was really cool. I'm very lucky to know a lot of them, Adam Bello and Bob Duffy and, Todd Baxter and others. But it was nice to have the mayor there and do the official thing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It was good.
I want to bring it back to kind of the beginning of your journey.
Sure.
You were telling me that you started your business 3 weeks before COVID started.
Yep.
Talk about kind of the challenge in that and how you navigated it.
Yeah. So it's funny because when I tell people I opened 3 weeks before COVID, this from opening a business. It actually goes back about 1.5 years because that's when I consider myself starting a business, right? It's putting a plan together, doing your business plan, meeting with banks, opening your LLC, capitalizing on your lease, building out the space, all that. So it feels like it was 1.5 years before, but we opened March 2nd, which was a Monday of 2020. And 3 weeks later, we obviously had to shut down. The world flipped up.
Yep.
I'll never forget my lawyer texting me like, hey, you're going to have to shut down next week.
And what was your emotion in like that moment?
Well, first off, I was fried because I just come off this 6-month stretch of working full time at my previous job and also building out this gym and doing everything myself. So I was the painter. I was everything, the clean, everything. So my schedule really was I'd get to my old job at 6 and I'd see clients until about noon. I'd shoot over and make sure the contractors were on pace from like noon to 3. I'd go back and I'd see clients from 3 to 6:30. I'd go back until about midnight and then I'd swing through Wendy's and go on home. And I did that for 6 months. So my emotion was at first meltdown. And my wife picked me back up and just said, look, you can do 2 things. You can either let this thing, dissolve everything you just worked for, or you're just going to get through this. It's going to be a little blip,
Yeah.
So
shout out to the wife.
Shout out, man. She's like, Julie, I just thanked her the other day when we did our ribbon cut.
Yeah.
It was so emotional because I was just thinking about like, man, all the times you've gotten me through. I've just been a puddle on the floor. Business is tough. It
is really tough.
And she's always been there, so I appreciate the hell out of that.
And luckily my wife is the same way, and I think it's so crucial to succeed as an entrepreneur, having your partner being your rock and being there for you through tough times and good times, and it's a huge. Dude.
I find it funny. People are like, it's your gym, it's this, it's your ideas. I'm like, man, without her, I wouldn't have this gym, and I bounced so many ideas off of her, and I didn't go on and on about that. My emotion, I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. There was 2 weeks of just pure panic. Yeah. And then we had that convo, my wife and I. And then we just started grinding away. So I was telling you, I was doing about 40 Zoom sessions a week. I packed my truck up with small apparatus stuff, driving to people's houses and fields, and man, we just got through it.
It's like crazy. A Rocky scene almost.
It really was. I'd roll up and I'd open the door and shit would just fall out, and I'm trying to gather it. I'd park in like an apartment complex and I'd have to strap up with all this equipment, carrying BOSU balls, and I'd go into their house. And it was fun.
What a story though! Like going
crazy.
Forward, just knowing like I had to go through that phase.
Yeah, best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah,
knowing I got through that and succeeded.
Yeah,
I don't. You're always going to have failures in business. It's like rule number 1, right? I don't fear anything to that extent because I literally had to shut down. I was brand new. I had no money.
I was at rock bottom. That's
rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I can't picture a scenario that would be like tougher than that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just naive in that, but man, no money, no workers, no guidance. I had nothing for months. Dude. So,
and that's the ultimate position to be in, because that mindset of knowing if I can get through that, any business fire I can put out, I can deal with any client. It's like, I did that shit.
And I'm learning every day. I mean, man, especially with the size of the business now, there's fires every day you're putting out, and constantly learning. And I've been lucky to have a great business executive coach, and you're just learning every day. But nothing seems too daunting. So
sure, yeah. Let's talk about your team a little bit and the makeup of them. You gave a kind of a brief rundown, but what does your team look like right now?
So we have 32 employees, and we also have others that are on contracts. So it's kind of like 36 of us. We have 6 managers. So me, the department for front end. We also have the membership director. We have our director of personal training, our admin manager, and then our group exercise director. So those are essentially the 6 main departments.
Core people.
Yeah, those are the core. Those people are involved in a lot of decision making. And one thing, just my philosophy is I hate micromanaging. I want people to have autonomy and come to me with ideas. And, you take things that you don't like from other businesses that you've worked at and try to fix them. And I hate, big box corporate. You can't, by the time you get an idea to corporate, the whole season has changed. It's been 3 months. Yeah. And your summer class that you wanted to run now needs to be fall. So I never want that, and I want people to have autonomy. Besides that, we have, probably 14 personal trainers and strength coaches, a ton of group exercise instructors. We offer yoga, hot mat Pilates, HIIT classes, Tabata classes. So we have a full class schedule that runs. And then we have a whole front desk team and membership sales team, a cleaning staff, and then our rentables. We have massage therapy, chiropractic, physical therapy. I mean, it's deep.
It's a lot.
Yeah, we're in it. We're in it for sure. Yeah, so, we're doing it. So
that's great. Yeah. It's more than just a gym and with weights and like.
Oh yeah,
this is a fitness freaking mecca.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's a full. That's been the toughest challenge for me. Is at the old space on Halstead Street, we were at max probably 13 employees. And, that's a pretty sizable operation for a small business. Yeah. But we're kind of corporate now in the sense that we have over 30 employees and almost 40. And that's a whole new realm of managing and dealing with different situations that come up. And
let's talk about that a little bit. What have you learned about managing people, leading people? Like any tips that you can give to people?
I think the one takeaway, and I just had this conversation this morning, actually, I met with my executive coach. It's so interesting when you bring in so many people from the outside. So those core 13 that I had at Halstead, I knew them like the back of my hand. But now I have this, other grouping of 20 people that I'm getting to know. And you cannot treat everyone the same. And it's really important for me personally to get in the mind and get to know someone. What's their background? Where'd they come from? Have they dealt with adversity? Because if you're talking to someone, there's trigger points and things that you have to keep in mind for communication to be really strong. So I think the most challenging part is really to the core, getting to know your employees. What makes them tick? What are their hobbies? Connecting with people it's a very powerful tool. If you can develop trust with someone, you can have any conversation you want.
100%. And I've learned that too, starting to become a leader, and you have to personally be able to connect to someone outside of the professional, the business stuff in order for that to thrive.
Yes.
Because if their personal stuff is not in check, it's going to leak right into the business, and
100%.
It's a hard thing to do. But we actually have set up like monthly check-in meetings, just personal stuff. How's life? How's everything going? So I love that, man.
Yeah. One of the things that we just incorporated, which I find fascinating, is And again, this might be simple business for other people, but for us, it's a really strong tool that we're just starting to implement. So we have 4 meeting styles, and it's been really important now with the size of our staff. So every morning, it's a 15-minute phone call with the managers, and it's mandatory. And that meeting is not a long meeting. It could be 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 15 minutes max, and it's touch points. So it's what does the staff, the managers need from me for the day? Is there anything pressing that's going on? It's all just granular for that day. Does anyone need help with something? It's a really good touch point, even if I'm out of the office, to stay connected. Mm-hmm. The second is 2 to 3 weekly meetings that are tactical. So we meet on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, this is as managers. We all go around and discuss our department, but on Fridays, we all pick a topic that we're going to hone in on Friday. So it's very tactical. It's what do we need done this week? The third is a monthly meeting that's strategic planning. So it's looking ahead a month, 3 months, 5 months, whatever that is. And that's kind of like our all staff meeting. The fourth would be, we call it timeout. So it's the managers getting the fuck out of the office and removing yourself from that scenario you're getting engulfed in, right? And we do something fun. So it could be lunch, it could be whatever, but we're having a business conversation a little bit more raw and real. It's not confined in our normal meeting room. And those 4 tools, essentially, as meeting structure, the communication has just risen tremendously.
I bet.
It's unbelievable.
Did you create that structure yourself, or did you learn that from?
No.
Who'd you learn that from?
So Jim Mahan, if anyone's looking for a business executive coach, please reach out to Jim Mahan. He was the CEO of Frontier for many years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's legit.
Yeah.
And I actually met him through Mark Sewick.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so...
is that Mark's coach too?
That is Mark's coach, yeah. And so ironically enough, we were doing 2 out of the 4. So we always meet as a staff, as managers, 2 to 3 times a week. And we always meet once a month for the strategy and, strategic planning. The touch point meetings in the morning, so beautiful. I mean, the stuff that you can communicate and get done. And we've paired that. We're actually implementing it next week, which is cool, with Slack.
Yeah, we use Slack.
Yeah, so it's something we've been toying with for a while, but now with this size of the operation, it's something we need.
You got to have a main communication channel,
And the most important is the timeout, because it's really easy, and a lot of people know this, to fall trapped into, this is my job, I do it every day. You just got to get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually just had our first off-site quarterly meeting. So we rented an Airbnb on Seneca Lake.
Love it.
Me and the leadership team, and we took an entire 8-hour day, and we're like, what is our vision? Where are we going? Where do we want to go?
What was your takeaway from that?
Takeaway was that we never realized how powerful meetings like that were before we did them. Like, what were we doing before this? Like, without having a vision that you're following. I don't know if you've heard the book Traction. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't. Traction.
It's basically, I call it the business Bible. It literally lays out like exactly what's your 3-year vision, what's your 10-year vision. Break it down into 1 year, 90 days, and all these, in breaking stuff up like that. And it's been so powerful and such an unlock for us to continue growing. So if you're cool with it, I want to talk about your growth.
Sure.
Because what, 4 or 5 years it's been?
Yeah.
And 30 plus employees now. It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to give an outline of like what revenue, profit over the course of growth, because I think a lot of like aspiring gym owners who maybe want to build a business like this would be very inspired to hear like what your journey has been.
Yeah. So our first model is so different than our model now. And the sheer fact, it's 2 things. It's size, so how much volume we can handle. And then the second is the memberships. At the old space, we could not have memberships, right? So we could, but who's coming to a 2,600 square foot, Mm-hmm. And half that was, an office and other stuff.
Yeah.
So with COVID, our first year, we ended around 120,000. Which we considered a massive win.
I mean, first year in business,
first
over
year in
6
business,
figures.
we were like, you know what? Like, okay. And it was just me. And at that point, I think one other guy.
Yeah.
And he was only there for a couple months within that year. And we were also shut down for like 4-6 months out of that. So that was really cool. And I remember looking back at that, celebrating that, like, okay, I can make $1, you know?
Yeah.
And then we grew probably to 4 or 5 coaches. In the second year, we were at around 360. So that was cool. We're like, okay, we probably should have done that last year, you know, with being closed so much. And I took that year really to analyze what's the jumps I need to double that, right? So last year, before we left to the new space, we were roughly around 600.
Nice.
So I always said, okay, if I'm going to leave this space, you know, like early, even before our lease ends, which we did, what's going to get me there? And it's just bursting out of these walls, right? So I can't have more coaches in here. We're at our max capacity, and we hit that. So it was interesting to see where the cap would be, you know. Now the cool part is last year we started adding on Skool contracts left and right. So this was a game changer for us because now we're getting $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 chunks from contracts.
Yeah.
So I pretty much made a plan of, okay, if we could start getting 10 outside contracts, I could bring in another passive $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. Easy. So we started hiring some people for that, and we started pretty much the process of that last year. So fast forward now, where we're sitting, our highest month ever at Halstead, we just surpassed 2 days ago, not even halfway through the month. So I thought that was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude.
So my goal for this year was to do around 1.2. And
100K a month. That's
yep. And I think we're gonna be just fine getting there.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring building a 7-figure business in that quick of a time frame.
It's crazy. I can't even, it doesn't even register until like I have these moments where I start talking about it, you know, I'm so engulfed in it. But
you lay down at night, you're like, what is happening right now?
I've had a lot of long nights of what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, it's inspiring, you know, as myself as a business owner too, to see just what's possible. And just to give a little background on me, I went to school for engineering, got a corporate job, and went down that route. Just decided it wasn't for me. I'm like, I have some entrepreneurial blood in me.
Love that though.
Quit my job after 6 months, and like I was telling you, it was right after COVID started, and started doing a little bit of photography for some real estate agent friends. I know the grind, bro. And it started as a little side hustle, and I'm like, hold on, this can be much more. And
look at you now.
Added on videography services, added on other stuff, and started building a team around me, and here we are today.
This is a tough field.
It is a tough field.
So for you to be growing like you are, you're doing something right.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I think the majority of that is because I am so obsessed with customer service and treating every client like they're our only client. And the product side of things, making our video so, like you were saying, like, are you the guys on Instagram I'm seeing all over the place? And like we have a real 3D look now. Like that's what people are saying.
You definitely have an image now.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, but it is a grind, man, and it's like you have to go through that phase, seasons I call it, where you're hustling 12 hours a day and you're just feeling it. But to get to a point now where you have a solid ass team underneath you and you're becoming a leader and a manager. It's super cool.
Someone once told me, so my best friends, they own Paws and Claws Pet Care.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've been inside of there.
No.
It's fucking unbelievable. Hell of an operation.
Okay.
It's like dog daycare heaven. Like, it's crazy. So it's 35,000 square feet.
Where is it?
So it's on, oh God, where am I? It's in Penfield.
Okay.
I'll get the exact address for you. They'll kill me for not knowing that. I drive there fucking every week. But it is so nice inside. And it's literally 35,000 square feet of daycare and play centers for dogs. And they have a cat section.
Yeah.
But there's like an outside water park. I mean, it's crazy. But I remember he told me years ago, it's the most fun you can have legally owning a business.
Okay.
And it's always stuck with me. I'm like, it's such a challenge. And it's so fun because it starts as like this little seed sprinkle and you just keep watering it and it literally keeps growing. But the more attention you bring to that plant, it's gonna keep growing. And if you fade off, it'll die like that.
Yeah.
It's really how I feel.
That's a really good analogy. Yeah.
Linden Ave.
Linden Ave.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I got to remember that. It's going to kill me.
Yeah, I never heard of it. I'll have to
check it out.
My parents have a crazy golden retriever. Maybe we'll have to bring him.
Paws and claws, baby.
Paws and claws. Any sales and marketing tips that you could give to aspiring gym owners that have helped you grow like super fast?
So I think you kind of put the nail on the head there. So for us personally, me personally, I come from a Wegmans background.
Me too.
So awesome.
Dude, I worked frozen foods at Wegmans.
Let's go. Which one?
Ironically, right here on Titus.
Oh shit. Okay.
Did that for 6 years, and then my corporate engineering job was at
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Brooks Ave. So
Oh shit.
I was a manufacturing engineer in the bakery.
In the bakery.
Yeah.
That seems to be everyone works in the fucking bakery.
Yeah.
There.
I mean, it was cool, but again, it wasn't for me. But
It's not for you, yeah.
What did you do at Wegmans?
So I started front end like everybody, and then I shifted to grocery for 5 years.
Okay.
And the one takeaway that will forever stick with me is just the detail to customer service.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's probably why you are the same. It's instilled in me.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, they would come and grab our car keys and like wash our cars. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
What is going on here?
Serious?
Yeah.
Basically the way I look at it, and I just listened to this podcast the other day, and it solidified every single thing, and I shared it with our management team. It was the owner of Trek Bicycle.
Okay.
And he has pretty much grown his business from $250 million a year to over $2 billion.
Holy shit.
Which is dude, that's like massive. Basically, they go into businesses for free. So let's say I own a bike shop around here. I can call Trek Bicycle. They will come out to me, not charge me. They will analyze every single thing about my business, not charge me. They will put together an entire turnaround for my company of a plan, like a business plan, and not charge me. And they'll sit down and present it to me. And the owner was talking about how he's growing his company when he's not, marketing of any sales. And he said, look, if I bridge the gap and show someone that I'm going to invest into you, they're going to invest right back. So it's such an interesting model because they have no sales goals. So their departments aren't judged on sales. But what they're doing is offering the best premium service, and they're saying, I'll invest into you. They don't ask for anything, not half your business, not a quarter of it, but just showing someone I'm ready to invest into you, they get the business.
Wow.
It's just such a weird, you don't see that anywhere.
No.
Anywhere. And that really, that stood out to me. And the other thing was, he was talking about Nick Saban. And obviously Nick Saban, I fucking hate Alabama. But I'm an Oregon Ducks fan.
Okay.
But talk about one of the best coaches ever, right?
Can't deny that.
Can't deny it. And his whole model is, we're not going to win the game. We're going to win every play. And if you break that down into a sales aspect, let's say I got someone coming in who's interested in nutrition, or, they just want to get a gym tour, right? If you're too salesy and your whole pitch is revolving around the end goal of the sale, they're going to see right through it. Mm-hmm. But if I take someone on this tour and I sit with them for 5 minutes and really get to know them, and then I tailor that tour to them of, here's exactly what I just heard. Let me show you the 5 things of this gym that could direct you to make what you need
specifically for you.
And let me just show you, here's our blueprint. And if I execute those 5 plays or 5 things, that's a sale. It's right there. And it's just going above and beyond and doing things. We had an example. There's a new kid. This kid is awesome. His name's Zach. And he comes in the gym and he starts mentioning that he does calisthenics, and he's got a coach, and he actually works in the Wegmans warehouse.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Cool. And bakery. And he starts mentioning that the one piece of equipment we didn't have was what he was looking for.
Okay.
So I bought it that day.
You bought it that same day?
Fuck yeah. I was like, dude, I'll buy it for you, So he bought a year membership up front. And he came up to me the next day and he goes, you purchasing that in front of my face? He's like, that meant so much to me. And it just goes back. Mark actually bought me a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. You read it?
No, he was talking about it though.
It's unbelievable. And so he bought me the audio book.
And it makes sense why Mark is the way he is. And
I'll share a story about Mark in a second because he'll enjoy this too. And it just shows the fact that if you go above and beyond and listen to people, that's why the Ritz works. You know, they document everything about someone. When you come back, they have your favorite cookie there. Years later.
Yeah.
And it's just going that above and beyond. But the first time I saw it was with Mark.
Yeah.
And I was driving in a car with Mark, and he was actually helping me find our Halstead location. And so we go down this little path, and as we're driving out, going to turn onto Winton Road, there's a woman walking across the street, and she's kind of waving to him. So he stops car, rolls the window down, and he literally says, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you. How's your husband? How are the kids?" I swear to God, when he rolled this window up, I was like, wow, that's like, you've known this person for 30 years.
Yeah.
He goes, "I have no idea who the fuck that was."
Holy shit.
It just, I burst out laughing because I'm like, what? Instantly, he dials his secretary, Molly.
Yep.
And he goes, "I need you to tell me everything you can about this person." Caught her name in the convo. He said, "What was your last name again?" And instantly spits out, "Bought this house, this date, blah, blah. Got it. Can you send them XYZ right now?" And that right there, I was just like, what? Like in a matter of 2 minutes, that person probably left that and said, that guy remembers me from 12 years ago, knows everything about my life. And then he went above and beyond to send them something. I will guarantee that that person is a customer of his for life. And they're going to refer every single person. And it's just that little stuff. So sales isn't, you can't be salesy. You have to get to know people.
Be genuine.
You just be genuine, man. Like, that's why I hate when I see like sleazy salespeople. I'm just like, oh my God.
I was having a conversation with one of the last guests actually about sales, and we were talking about how some of the best salespeople are actually more like introverted and more like care to really know someone and dig in deeper, whereas like an extroverted, super kind of sleazy salesperson can kind of be over the top.
It comes off a little much.
Yeah. So
totally get that.
And that's such a huge takeaway right there. Just care, genuinely care about people. I don't know if you've ever read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
No.
That's another great one.
That.
You should check it out. It's like just the fundamentals of like how humans interact and behave, and how a person's favorite word in the English language is their name. So if you use their name, it's immediately when you hear your name, it's like, who said that?
Yeah.
So
funny you said that. So this is, I don't know why. This is something I started doing. So when I worked at Wegmans, when I was in the front end, when you would tell someone their final price, they swipe their card, you hand them the receipt, and then they're gone, right? Mm-hmm. No one says, "Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Nick." Ever. Like, think about it. Dude, never. No one ever looked at my fucking name tag, right?
Yeah.
So now, for the last like 2 years, I make it a point when I go through the Wegmans line, whatever the name is, at the end I say, and I look them right in the eye, so I'm not doing that, say, "Thanks, so-and-so," and the look on their face. But it's like, man, Starbucks does it well, right? And they remember your name, and they'll obviously they have it on the cups. But being addressed by your name is a very powerful thing.
It's so powerful.
And I do that a lot with phone calls. Mm-hmm. Someone calls my phone. I don't know who it is, but I'll say, "Oh, who is this?" "Oh, it's Billy." "Great. Billy. At the end of the conversation, "Billy, thanks so much for your time." And there's so much power to that. It's unbelievable.
There is. And I'm trying to get better with it too, because I realize how powerful it is. Yeah. So for you just say it over and over, and that's a way for you to remember it?
Over and over.
Yeah.
Even if I got to miss a sentence or saying, I'm just reinforcing. This is this person's name.
Billy. Yeah. Yep.
And the next time I see them, I will know their name.
Yeah.
And that's always been a kind of one of my superpowers.
It is a superpower. It really is.
It really is.
I heard that, I think Bill Clinton was like just a complete, like he would remember every single person's name and like everything about their family, and no matter how many people he met.
Doesn't matter. He knows.
So if there's one takeaway that you can take is, don't worry about the sales tactics, all these systems. Focus on the person in front of you. Focus on their name and that you genuinely care about them. That'll take you farther than anything.
Yeah, I mean, Jim, my business coach, he's really instilled in me that even for employees, it's the why. What's in it for them? It's the same thing. I don't care what you're selling. There is a uncomfortable aspect of someone coming to another person to try to get a service, right? It's our job to make that very diminished.
Yep.
Obviously, with fitness, people have a wall. They might be out of shape and very overweight and be intimidated coming into a place where
A lot of emotional stuff.
it's crazy. You don't know their past. But if you can teach them the why, what's in it for you, right? That's the power. And that's just going to carry out.
How important is brand to you?
Very, very. So brand is an interesting thing because as you grow as a company, it falls back to you. But it also has an impact on everyone else. And the one thing that my staff is now realizing is it's always in a smaller facility. As a small business, whoever creates that small business is typically the face, right? That's just, it is what it is. So my knock was always when I'm in the facility, it's a different vibe. And that was something year 1 and 2 that stood out to me. And I said, I got to fix this immediately. Because how do you take a business from small to a large business? You have to create a brand that all your employees and everyone knows this is how we operate. Here's our culture. And to hear when I'm not there, the company feels different. That's an impactful statement, right? So we spent years 3 and 4 literally branding and developing a culture. The best compliment that I can get is when someone leaves a testimonial or a review or like a mark, right? The one thing out of their mouth, this vibe, this feel, this culture, it's a family. You come in here and you feel you're in a different place. That is, okay, I just branded the shit out of this place because everyone knows, everyone a part of this community, they're now going to go out and talk about that.
Yep.
And you got to protect that. And that's a really difficult thing to do.
It's really difficult.
Really difficult.
And I'm trying my best at it right now too. Like even the small things, like all of us wearing our uniforms on site at shoots and all of us providing that customer service. How's your day going? Like talk to the homeowner and in getting everyone on the same page, rowing in the same direction. It's a very difficult task to do, but when you can do it, there's no competition. You know what I mean? So yeah, brand is something that I value so much.
I actually recently just fired 2 people that basically ruined our name in a way by losing the integrity of our brand. And it was an easy decision for me because that decision they made affects everyone at my company. So it was a clear-cut answer to me, and everyone around, like the employees, they don't look at that as a, oh, Nick fired someone. It's like, wow, he's protecting us.
He's protecting us. Yep.
And that to me is like, whoa, like we've created this culture. You either got to be a part of this culture and respect and treat people a certain way. And if not, there's no tolerance for it.
Yeah.
So
I love that you said that because I haven't gotten to the point where I had to fire someone yet, but knowing that, changing that mental shift of like, it's not personal. It can be personal if you're fucking things up, but I have people who depend on me in a brand and a reputation, and I'm not going to let a single person, no matter how talented you are, mess it up for everybody else. No. Any tips on how you went about it? Firing.
On firing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, tips on firing. So I had this lunch. What was this lunch? It was I got invited to like the young top 25 entrepreneurs of Rochester.
Okay.
So, and you had to be under, I think it was like under 30 at the time. And you had to have X amount of qualifications. But I get invited to this, and you could pick, there was like 5 or 6 tables, and you could pick to hopefully sit down with some very powerful leader in our community, and you could have lunch with them or breakfast, whatever it was. And so I got the CEO of 5-Star Bank.
Nice.
And someone at the table had asked him, hey, I got to fire someone. And he said this guy is so sweet and gentle and kind. And I found that interesting because he has this massive company he's running. And he said, if you fire someone, it should never, ever feel good. And he said, you got to make that decision very point blank. Does this affect your business negatively? If it does, protect your people. But it's never going to feel good. And I've had to fire a lot of people in my life, not at Elevate, just at other managerial jobs and gyms across the country. And the one thing that I always go back to is if you can let someone know this is not personal, this is a decision and here's why, it's the only thing you can really do and say, because people ultimately are going to respect you for being honest, or they're going to hate you no matter what. It is what it is. It never feels good. It's never going to feel good. And it's just one of those things I got to tell myself is like, when I do that, or someone asks me, a department head asks me to do that, there's a reason behind it, and you just got to really stick with it.
It's a necessary evil. It really is.
Don't second guess it.
Yeah.
You know, like your gut, you know when something's wrong, right?
And you know when you're letting it go on a little too long, it's like, I got to make the decision. Yeah.
Now, I will say, one of the most powerful tools that I've been really, so we have a 9-box square. It's very simple, where we put all our employees in categories. And if you look at the bottom part of that, it's someone that's ready to be on their way out. The top part of that is your big superheroes, right? It's who's at the company they can't even go any farther. They're maybe ready to be GM, or they're like leading the company, right? If you have too many people in that position, it's kind of a dangerous game, because if there's no room to grow and they're outgrowing the business, you fear they might leave. You have a lot of people in between that will come in and they'll do their job and they're very happy with that. Those are kind of your workers, right? And then everywhere in between. But we analyze people and say, okay, if someone's struggling and they're on the bottom part of this, how can I bring them up? And I've really found, and I learned this from Sam Owens when I worked at Midtown, what can I do to try to make a shift in someone so it doesn't get to that point? And that's why reviews are so powerful, and earning trust and having just open dialogues, because I've had a lot of people where I've said, I'm giving this person 2 months. Here's my plan of how I could bring them up, and let's see what happens.
Yep.
And almost always it works.
Yeah.
But it's having that plan, having that conversation, and having the open dialogue of like, here's a safe space. Let's talk about this. Here's where you're at. What can I do for you?
Yeah. Just putting the cards out on the table.
Put it out there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared to have like business conversations. I've never, there's not a conversation that I'm not willing to have with someone. If someone wants to come into my office and vent, if someone wants to tell me about their home life, come into my office. It's a very safe space. We'll also duke it out in there if we need to. I've had people come in and say, hey, here's what I need changed. I don't like this about someone. Let's talk about it. You have to get to a point where you have that safe space, or else your company's not going to grow.
Yeah. And it's such a huge leadership. Right there, tactic. Can you talk a little bit about the impact that mentors have had on your life?
Yeah. Well, I've been very blessed to have met very powerful people in the field. And that's something we didn't even really talk about. When I left, so even if I look back to Fredonia, so I transfer in, and I met Todd Backus, who came from Ohio State, and he was one of their lead researchers. So I'm getting this massive Ohio State background brought to my hands at a small state school, and he taught me research, right? Then I graduate, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I was dating this girl for a while, and she breaks up with me, and I'm like, oh my God, my life's over, And a buddy of mine who became the head strength coach for the Boston Red Sox, we went to Fredonia together. He randomly hits me up. He's like, hey man, what's your plans? I'm like, dude, I don't fucking have any. He's like, well, I'm going to Salisbury, Maryland, and I'm taking strength and conditioning grad program. And he's like, you should apply. I'm like, dude, I don't have anything. I have nothing done. College would start in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I applied that night and I got in, which is really weird, right? So I sent him all my transcripts, everything. I moved literally 3 weeks later, and I'm living in Maryland. And that week, I think there's a lot of power in, if you see something and there's an opportunity, it's timing and execution. I see the strength coach's door open. I don't know this guy. I know nothing about him. Walk into his office, and Chris, my buddy's like, what the fuck you doing? Just saying hi. So I walk in. I'm like, hey, man, I just joined this program. If there's any volunteer hours you need, let me know. 2 weeks later, me and Chris are leading all the sports team volunteer programs. We're getting up at 4 a.m. before class, which led to a GA position, which are like the rarest thing you can get in college, right? So Matt Nine, who was technically my first like big mentor at Salisbury, he goes on to win Strength Coach of the Year for NSCA, the highest accolade in the field, right? So that's like my first mentor.
Yeah.
You know, and then I shift, I do an internship in Florida under Dr. Josh Cooper, who was the head of the Olympic training facility at one point, who taught me speed training, which is so rare. And I learned world-class speed development. And I was there for a couple of weeks, and he brought me into the office and said, hey, I want you to start taking the NFL guys. So here I am, 21 years old, and I've had National Strength Coach of the Year, you know, as my mentor. And now I got this guy who's, you know, putting me into this NFL training. So I do that. And I moved back, and I actually finished my master's at Canisius.
Okay. So
just for personal reasons, I had to come home. And, you know, I go to Canisius, and I finish out, and Sam Owens from Midtown, who's at the time the department head, he reaches out to me, and he's like, hey, I want you to come open the first performance department ever out of all 9 Midtowns. Huge position.
Yeah.
So I take it, and Sam, who's been running this department for over 15 years, takes me under his wing and teaches me all about business. So I'm like, I got this strength background, I get the speed background, and then I get my business. Well, he thought I did a great job, and he awarded me basically an entire certification by flying out Dr. Nick Winkleman, who is now the head of performance for all of the Irish Rugby Federation.
Whoa.
Like, this is like massive stuff, right? So he flies them out when I get awarded this position, and he teaches me 3 days of their certification, which normally you got to like do online and fly out to them. So I connect with him, and he takes me to a whole new level. And the journey just keeps going, right? And to answer your question, it's, you know, I look at like even a Mark Seawick, who's taken me under his wing, and he takes me out to dinners, and he networks me. Without those people, you don't make it. And the takeaway that I'm getting to is it's really nice to have mentors, but what do you do with them? You know, I touch point with Salisbury still. I donate to them. I talk to Matt. You know, Matt just got the USA lacrosse. He's a strength coach now. It's a huge position, but I'm in touch with him. You know, I got a guy out in Florida, Miami, David Alexander. He trains LeBron, Chris Paul. He owns DBC Fitness. We kind of model our business around it. I can call him at any time, and he's on the phone, and the connections are great, but what do you do to develop a long relationship? Mm-hmm. So to anyone that is getting into having a mentor, it's connecting with them to the point where that has to be a very long-lasting relationship. The more you feed into that, the more they're going to give to you, and that's how you grow.
Don't be transactional with your relationships. Yep. Every relationship you build, look at it as a lifetime thing, and you will have mentors across the board 100%. That want to build you up, want to see you win. And dude, and just going back to when you walked into that office, just having the courage, and I don't even know if you even felt nervous at all. You just kind of went, and you're like, what do I have to lose here? Like, I just want to say hi, and what that leads to. And you just never know what doors can open.
Yeah, there's a really, it's probably my favorite book I've ever read. It's called The Third Door by Alex Banayan.
Okay.
You heard of this? So the third door concept is that, you know, basically if you go to the nightclub, right, if you get kicked out of the front door, you can try, that's your door one, right? Then you can try to sneak in, right? And then if you still get caught, how do you get into the club?
How?
Well, the whole premise of the book is finding the third door, right? It's the idea that anything in life, when you keep being told no, there's always a solution, right? So that's the quick catch, right? he tells a story about how he's trying to get on The Price is Right. And it's this game show, and he can't get on it. It's very tough. You find out in the book. I didn't know how hard it is to get on The Price is Right.
Okay.
But it's his journey, and that journey led him to so many things. And essentially what he did was he was a part of a very tough upbringing where, his parents wanted him to be, a doctor, and he's going to school, and he left it all to go into doing interviews with people. And it's his journey of, how do I get in with a Bill Gates? How do I get an interview with Bill Gates? And this third door concept of how he got onto The Price is Right and started this journey is basically doing everything he can to sneak in and disguise himself to get on this show, which led him onto this journey. And it's always carried with me for life, is like, you're going to have so many no's, and you're going to have so many roadblocks and little fires you have to put out. There is always a solution. And in business, if you don't keep finding that third door, you're never going to succeed. So anytime something comes up, and it's like with COVID we talked about, all right, there's a solution. I just got to keep finding it.
Keep searching.
Keep searching.
Love it, dude. I love that story. What's your number one tip to increase strength in the gym for an athlete? What do you got?
Diet.
Diet?
Diet.
Okay, explain.
So fuel for your body is so important. And one thing that, people get really tripped up on is it's a fine balance of diet and exercise, right? If you start, let's say you specifically, let's say you got a goal and you're like, I want to hit, a 500-pound bench, right? You could do everything you want for a programming aspect, but if you're not fueling your body, there's going to be some taper off of overtraining. There's going to be some taper off of your body is breaking down. The only way to stay consistent in that is for nutrition. We had guys out in Florida heat that were 320-pound linemen, and they would come in the morning, and we'd meet them at 5 a.m. They would meet with our mental and vision coach from 5 to 5:30. Then they go to the PT department. They meet on their injury prevention from 5:30 to 6. They come to us from 6 to 7:30 in the morning for speed. They go back to the PT. They take care of that. Then they go eat. Right after that, they come back. They do a strength session. They go eat. Then they go get their massage work, their chiropractic. Maybe they're doing cryo. They go home. They eat. They come back for an evening workout. They eat. It's fueling your body, because when you are that dehydrated, that broken down, the only thing that's going to continue your programming and develop, your strength in your body to continue to do so is nutrition.
Oh, I love it, dude.
And people look at it so opposite. It's like, I don't care what program you're on. Even the worst program yields results. And that's something that Matt taught me. If you did 150 push-ups a day, and that's all you did, you woke up, you're just, let's say not even you, someone's lazy as fuck, they never work out, but every day they do 150 push-ups, they're going to get a really nice chest. But it's the worst program in the world. But you're going to see a result from it.
You're doing something, yeah.
You're going to do something.
Yeah.
And that's what the more you can give and the more you provide your body to fuel and recover, you're going to sleep better. Your hormones are going to reset better. You're going to produce more leptin to keep your metabolites going. You're going to be able to put out more growth hormone when you're sleeping. You're going to raise your free testosterone. I mean, dude, it's crazy.
It is. And
that's how you get strong and fit.
And so many people just want the short. They want to go absolutely hard as a mother in the gym and then go home and eat like fucking garbage and expect to get results.
Have fun. Good luck.
So how about some nutrition stuff?
Yeah.
Like what do you do personally in your diet?
Yeah. So I am notoriously a yo-yo person. Okay. And the only reason, which is horrible, the only reason I do that is because my life is so chaotic and hectic. I would never recommend that. My wife gets on me for it all the time. I can lose. So I just lost 20 pounds in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. I know. My body's kind of used to it, and that's what I've always been able to do. If I'm my most optimal, like if I'm really getting after it, I'm eating the same thing every single day, and I know the foods that work well for me. So a part of our nutrition process, if we're gonna really get into it,
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So let's say you're someone that, comes to us for nutrition. So we have a nutritionist on staff. She's actually a pharmacist. And what we do, which is unique, is we actually do a mouth swab. So we partnered with Thorne Nutrition, which is a massive company. So we have wholesaling, and she can test because she's a pharmacist. So you would come in, we'd sit you down for a consultation, and you'd say, okay, my goal is XYZ. We'd put you on our InBody, which is what NFL teams use. It spits out your intra and extracellular water. It tells me your basal metabolic rate, every calorie you need to gain or lose weight, your muscle mass, your body fat. It's fucking unbelievable, right? Your internal brown, like adipose tissue, like crazy. Once I have that, we'll do a mouth swab. We send that into Thorne. They spit back your entire hormone panel. So now I say, okay, you have, high cortisol, you got low T4, like everything. And then we say, okay, we're going to give you these supplements to regulate what's off. Here's your customized nutrition program for your goals based off your hormones and the InBody. Like, that's how fucking detailed we're getting.
That's
crazy. Like, that's how detailed we're getting. So we just had a woman, her name is Pam, who's like the sweetest person. She just lost 65 pounds over the last year, off blood pressure medication. Just unbelievable. She's pre-diabetic, gone. We had a guy last year, Dan, he lost 100 pounds. It's crazy.
So what about like food specifically? You say you eat the same thing every day. Like what do you eat?
So that's just me personally. So the one gripe I have in the nutrition field is everyone wants to sell you on here's what works. That doesn't work for everybody.
Everyone's different.
Everybody's different. So I spent, when I was probably 18 to 22 years old, my dream was to be the best bodybuilder in the world.
Oh, yeah?
That's it. I was eating 7 meals a day. I was waking up at 2 a.m. to have a shake. I was 8% body fat. I mean, you look at pictures, you'd be like, what the fuck happened to you? But I dedicated my life to that, right?
Okay.
The first 2 years was testing. So I literally would eat a food. So this is how crazy I got with it. I would eat chicken and rice for 7 meals a day. But every week I would introduce 1 meal a day of a new grain or a new protein. And I would mark down, I feel good, I don't feel good. So I basically was my own Whoop.
Yeah.
Like, you think about Whoop. I was the Whoop, right?
Yeah.
And I know I could eat, I'm not even kidding you, 50 pounds a day of sweet potatoes, I'm going to lose weight. So if I'm trying to gain weight, sweet potatoes are out.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't even fucking look at them. If I want to put on nice mass, I'm going oatmeal. But these are things that I had to figure out for myself.
Yes.
So when I look at diet programs for someone, I'm very, like, honesty to me is like, I need you to know like what we're trying to do. First 4 weeks, it's a chemistry project. And I'm playing with foods, right? And I have you marked down, I feel good on this, I don't feel good on that. And that to me kind of dictates, I could put you on a program, you lose 6 pounds week 1, all the water sucks out of you. And I'm like, whoa, I got to add calories, I got to tweak your food. You could not gain or lose a pound, but maybe your body composition changed. Then I got to give you a whole new diet structure. It's so deep.
Dude.
I hate when people are like, here's what you need to do.
Yeah, like one size fits all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's what works well for me. I eat majority on a keto.
Okay.
I eat whatever meat and fat source that I want. And I actually don't count it anymore. I got crazy with it at one point with competitive,
My Fitness Pal hero.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I had a coach and all that, but I was on
Yeah.
keto at that time. I was eating around 6,500 calories a day.
That's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food.
Yeah.
So now it's mostly keto, but I add in fruits and simple sugars, honey, maple syrup, and any fruit that I want. And I do that 6 days of the week. Then the 7th day, I eat whatever the fuck I
Go
want.
hard, you cheat, whatever you
Whatever
want.
the fuck I want. If I wake up and I want waffles, I'll have it. Mentally, I feel amazing. Physically, I feel amazing. My gut and intestinal health is improved so much. My bowel movements, my brain function. I'm still a human. I crave pizza, and of course, but I'm limiting it, and I'm correcting my body, and I know what feels good,
Yes.
and that's what I eat.
Dude, well, we'll have to connect offline because I've actually, over the past couple months, have been struggling with gut issues. I had to go through, get endoscopy, colonoscopy, CT scan, ultrasound,
Clean that
all
shit
of
up
it,
for you,
trying to
man.
figure out what's going
Shit
on.
up.
Figured out that I had SIBO. I don't know if you've heard
Oh,
of
I don't know what this is. Tell me.
SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So basically you have too much bad bacteria in your gut for whatever reason. There's all these different, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, is that, so this is crazy. We're going to get off.
That's okay. That's okay.
I had a good buddy of mine who was a part of a study in Boston, and he got paid to poop.
Okay.
And they would take that poop, and there was crazy qualifications for this, like unbelievable. And they would actually extract the good bacteria from the fecal matter, and they would encapsulate it. And they were doing a study to see if people with, I think, SIBO could reproduce better gut biome and bacteria to cure that. I think that's a part of what that was.
I mean, moral of the story is I have been trying to find a person, because general GI doctors, like, here's some antibiotics, like whatever, but I'm actually connecting with like a functional medicine doctor trying to get on their schedule now. But even I feel like I could learn so much from you, just what you've done with your journey in food and everything. So we'll have to.
No, we're definitely going to connect on this.
Yeah, because
sure.
Dude, the gut is a second brain. Like
it is your, like you just said, it's your second brain.
It is so important. And I now in my late 20s, you know, I've eaten whatever I wanted, like growing in my early 20s and whatnot. I care so much about what I'm putting in my body now. I only look at it as fuel now. And of course, I want to still have like food I enjoy.
Do you want to be a normal person?
I want to be a normal person, but for the majority of the time, like you said, six days out of the week, I want to be a machine. I want to be a machine.
Yeah.
So I think people, even when you're younger, like don't take that for granted. Like take care of what you're putting in your body. Stay away from processed garbage and all that stuff.
A lot of shit out there, dude.
A lot of shit out there.
There's a lot of misinformation too. And that's been part of the hardest challenges is like, so Lane Norton, I don't know if you know Lane. So the reason I respect Lane so much is because he's all science-based. It's the same with David Alexander.
Yeah.
If he's going to say something, here's the study. Well, there's people out there that say, oh, here's the study on it. Well, if you read that study, it's a terrible metric. You know what I'm saying? Like the study was shit. So part of getting good information is actually looking further into that.
Yeah.
And that's what I've tried to do over the last, 15 years is, okay, let's look at the control groups. Let's look at the size of this group. You know, what's the controls and the variabilities of this? And then let's talk.
I love it, man. Because there is so much information out there, especially with social media these days. I don't know who to trust, who's bullshit. Like
that's the one thing where it's like, if you really kind of look at where information's coming from, it can only be funneled down to a few people, and you got to make the decision of who you're gonna.
Yes.
You know? But the more you start, just like I have people that come to me and they're like, "Oh, I was listening to this guy, and then I started listening to this guy, and I saw this person, and I'm like, all of those people say different things. So let's look at what you want to get out of stuff, and let's funnel in on who's gonna give you the best information."
100%, brother. So. What do you do for fun?
Let's go. What do I do for fun?
Complete 180 here.
I love that. So when I tell people this, people kind of look at me funny, and I genuinely, I mean this so wholeheartedly. Business to me is second. I opened this business, and it's, I opened a business to do multiple things. It's to allow people to have a better work environment, allow myself to have a better work environment, more time for myself, and money, right? Mm-hmm. And, Jim had told me, like, when you open a business, you do it for two reasons, either time or money. The golden aspect is when you can get both. Right? For me, it's time, always. Money will come and go. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. If I'm making $10 million a year, my first and foremost everything is always going to be family.
Yeah.
And it's been my staple. And my fun time is being with my family. I have a 21-month-old son, Ollie, who is my life. I mean, that's my dog. My wife is my best friend. We were best friends for almost 10 years before we even dated.
Wow.
I was with, other women. She was dating other men. And we fell in love before we even fell in love, So When people say, "Oh, I married my best friend," I'm like, "Fuck you, no, you didn't." I did.
I actually did.
I did.
Yeah.
And I got a little daughter on the way in like
Congrats.
5 weeks.
Congrats.
Thank you. And we go on hikes. That's our fun. We go and we travel and we hike as a family. And I love being outdoors. My other fun is sports, and that's watching and playing. I love golf. I would play golf.
We got to golf
I
together.
woke up.
You got to help me
that.
get better.
I would love that. You tell me. You
Yep.
tell me when.
Okay.
And just watching and playing sports. So I'm the biggest Steeler fan you're ever gonna meet. And that's my outlet, you know. Unfortunately, I don't have much time for those. But the one thing I make time for is my family.
100%, dude.
So to answer your question in a long roundabout way, it's hiking and spending time with my family.
I resonate with the family part so much and the time freedom, and that's what I'm trying to build here. At the end of the day, like, I don't care how big of a business I build. I just want to build freedom and do it with people that I like and build a culture. And
it's amazing.
That's what we're doing. Goals for the future. Where do you see your business going in the next, let's say, 5 years, half a decade?
So when I opened Elevate, I had a 3-step plan. And Halstead was the first, and that was to get open, right? So it's, how do I secure a business loan? What do I have to do to have a bank trust in me to open my dream? And that's the first aspect, right? The second aspect I'm living right now, it's the stepping stone to what I've always envisioned. So this is weird for people to hear. The space that I'm in now is immaculate. It's the most you touched upon it, right? I walk in and I'm like, whoa. That's my stepping stone, because what's in my head and what's coming next is wild.
I love that, dude.
It's wild. And
I love that.
That's something that I've been able to discuss with my staff of like, look, here's where we're going, right? So within the next 5 years, I'm going to open a 30 to 40,000 foot facility. It's going to be the nicest facility in Rochester, New York. After that, 10 years, I want to, every couple years, open a new location in specific parts of the country. My ultimate goal is, by the time I die, which hopefully is a long time from now, I want to have 6 locations.
6. Very specific number.
The reason it's very specific is because if I look at the timetable, right? So right now I'm 32. I'm about to be 33 in September. 5 years from now, I'm still going to be 38, 39, right? I'm opening a massive facility by 40, right? Let's say, hopefully, I live to 80. Every 5 years, if I can start dinking these around the country. So that's where I'm getting these numbers from.
Got it, dude.
Not that I've thought about this.
not at all.
Not that I planned this out. Yeah.
Fuck, dude. You just got me so fired up, because I love hearing people who have big visions like that, and they know exactly where they're going, and they want to bring people on board. And I'm doing the same thing, dude. Like, and we could chat all day about
what's your vision?
My vision with Real 3D is we want to, over the next 3 years, really dominate the Rochester community for videography. Up until this point, it's been all real estate media. That's been our core niche. Now we're seeing the power that content has for local businesses across the board. We're getting more and more clients in that realm. Over the next decade, we want to be shooting high-end productions for some of the biggest brands in the world. We have over 20,000 followers on Instagram now. We're completely blowing up, so we're getting attention nationally, and we know that we have the skills. My brother Keegan is, and I'm a little biased, but he is the most talented videographer I've ever met in my life, and he has the potential to work with anyone he wants in the world, and I want to give him that opportunity to do that. So that's the direction we're headed. And at the end of the day, like I said, I just want to build something that I'm proud of with people that I like, and that gives me freedom at the end of the day. So
doing that. That's
my vision.
You're doing that.
Thanks, dude. I can tell we're on the same wavelength. And, and we absolutely need to connect further after this.
I love that, man. Love that.
Say I'm a young, aspiring entrepreneur. I wanna open up a gym. Is there a resource that you would recommend, a course, a community, some place that someone can go to learn the fundamentals of how to successfully start a gym? Do you have any like resource like that, or would you just say find people who are doing it?
So 2-part answer to that. One, anyone that ever wants to open a gym or get into fitness, my door is always open. I would love, if you want to sit down and talk ins and outs and anything, getting a business, anything, I would gladly, I do that quite a bit. the number one takeaway that I've gotten is just being able to walk into someone's office or call them and say, hey, you're doing this really well. Can you sit down with me? And that's been very powerful. And we kind of touched upon it earlier. Look at who's doing things well. When I first got to Midtown, I asked them day one, who's the highest revenue producing trainer here? I sat down with them and I said, what are the keys that make you successful?
Yeah.
You have to do that with other business owners. And unfortunately, in fitness, the only way to be successful is to engulf yourself into the world, because you have to know the ins and outs of it. So don't be afraid to reach out to any gym that's thriving and ask to sit down with who's running it, because they're going to say yes, and they're going to help you and give you nuggets that will get you there.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
But I'm all about the mindset of the same thing. Like if you want to start a real estate photography business, like videography, I'm an open book. Like I will tell you anything you need to know.
Yeah.
I know that I appreciated when I was starting my business, the people who put the rope down for me and would give me the advice. And so I'm always open to be that person. So let's end with plugging your gym, Elevate. Go check it out. I'm going to go in person and check it out now because I got to go see it. Anything else you want to plug? You have a like promotion going on right now that you wanted to.
So we got a couple promotions. So we have 3-day trial passes. So anyone right now, if you want to come use the gym and just check it out for 3 days, we will hand those out to anybody. We also have a new business program. So it's discounted rates for corporations and businesses.
Okay.
It's up to 5 people. So you get a very discounted rate for 5 members. Another one we just made was for first responders. So instead of the $140 a month, it just gives you access to the facility, the saunas, cold plunges, all that. It's $99 a month.
Okay.
So that's been really important too for police and firefighters and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is the vibe of the gym and the community. Once you come see who we are, you're gonna realize, this is what people pay for. And I can't even describe it. You just have to come check it out, because once you feel that, when you walk in and we have different scents we use, and the music, everything's different, man. It's a whole different level.
I love it, man. Well, you're doing big things for Rochester.
Thank you, man.
Building something like this. I get so fired up. Yeah. I'm a fitness guy at heart, and like I said,
get you in, man.
I got it now, dude. I got it.
Gotta get you in.
Well, thank you, brother, for the time today and all the value in the show. I'm sure
thank you.
People will get so much from it. Yeah. Where can people connect with you online? Instagram.
So Instagram, I have 2 profiles basically. So the Elevate_585.
It's your business profile.
That's my business, and then at Nikki Treats.
Nikki Treats.
Nikki Treats. So Treats is my nickname. I eat a lot of sweets.
I love it. Love it, brother.
So that's a long story how I got that, but so those are the 2.
Cool. So, well, go follow Nick and everything he's doing, and man, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate this.
All right, guys, we will see you in the next episode. Peace.